goes unchecked.
Tanner, it's the moment that all of T3 has been waiting for, to see if JJ can qualify for another league or if he'll be stuck in purgatory for another week until our second qualifier here for SCS is ready. My name is Fel, joined here by Forcel for one of the later broadcasts here for this close qualifier Series 2. Like I had mentioned, see who's going to take this win between Big Fans versus Elyssar. Tanner, how does it feel to be back? How does it feel to be back on the casting booth? Sorry about that, love.
I mean, it's been 3 years, John. It's been 3 years since
it's been a long time, yeah.
I mean, I know I did Challenger League as a desk analyst, but in terms of actually casting a game, it has been a long time. Before I ever got into my coaching roots, this is kind of the route I was planning on going initially, and then kind of just realized I still had that competitive spirit, so I got back into coaching. But, you know, for my first game back, do I get a treat? We get to see JJ going up. How many times has he tried to qualify for SCS, John? Do you know at this point?
I think he has made it into SCS, at least in the last season that we had quite some time ago, and he made it in SFCL as well recently. I think he made top 4, top 3 playing for that T3 league as well. It's mostly been Challenger League that's been giving him a lot of concerns, but I've already mentioned a couple of teams here that have been playing in the close qualifiers. We'll take a quick look at our multi-stream view as well to see who else is playing today that you can actually check out over on twitch.tv/SFCL. They'll be doing, technically it will be Turbo & Co. versus Frijoles, I believe it to be. Hong Kong Rebels have already played their match and won up against the Favelas. That was a 2-0 victory, quite swift. So glad to see them continue their lineage on here in T3, as they have been a really big superstar team.
I mean, going into these first games here, you got Elyssar and Big Fans, which of course we're going to be covering here in this first podcast. But you also have Able Esports that got knocked out by Citizens Arrest, and Homeland, who we thought were just going to do fairly well in these open qualifiers, managed to lose 2-0 to EQ3. And then just an absolute strong display on that last map too from EQ, where they were able to bring back a map that was down 0-4 and just bring it all the way back and take a quick swift 2-0. And then you got Above the Law, Lycus Empire. I'm going to be honest with you. Lycus Empire kind of really surprised me in this game. S2 just looked flat the whole time. They even had Kino playing, and they made Kino look like a T3 player. So I was very impressed with how they were playing. And like you mentioned, HK Rebels just waiting on the results of Turbo & Co. and Frijoles.
Yeah, I'm heading into our close qualifier matchup between Elyssar and Big Fans. It does look like on paper that Elyssar seem to be the more stacked roster here for that best of 3 series. Funny enough, Grave actually reminded me that JJ did not qualify for season 6. He was close, but actually just couldn't make it at the very end. And then season 5, he just got in by a hair, basically. So this has been something that he's been looking forward to for quite some time, but we'll quickly take a little bit of a moment to look at the actual rosters here for both Elyssar and Big Fans. You've got Bino, Twizzler, Rye, Riot, and JJ, of course, that we have mentioned a couple of times now. And then for Big Fans, you've got a couple of old heads here for their main 5 roster. Cordell, Matt Bonger, Jarden, Perseus, and Kosa as well. A couple of players who actually haven't seen and play in quite some time.
I mean, they've got some studs on that team. I've seen Matt Bonger play in Tier 3 now for a long time. He's one of those take over a game kind of players. Very flashy, very explosive, or he's just completely quiet. He's very hot and cold, but when he is on, he is almost an unstoppable force. He'll be able to take a bunch of kills. Going into the map vetoes here, we're going to see a lot of default maps going out. Cafe, that's a really good map for JJ. He's always been a really strong player on that team. You see maps like Clubhouse and Border going out. And for our first 2 maps, you've got Elyssar choosing Chalet, Big Fans choosing Chalet with Elyssar playing on the defensive half. And then you've also got Elyssar going to Theme Park, which is another one of those home maps there for JJ. Just no surprise he's willing to take a team that's a pug stack team to that map. It's a map that requires a lot of coordination. And then going all the way down, I actually find it kind of comical that JJ's banning out Villa, because for those of you who watched JJ in the close quals, that was the map that he lost to Elyssar, now the org he belongs to, for getting into Challenger League for stage 3 of last year. So him banning out Villa, maybe he just doesn't want to repeat that. And you've got Oregon as our final decider map.
The infamous line, From Pox Unlocked. Not today, JJ, as he shuts down the Nook. Or actually, no, I think he was the one on the Nook to actually win that round. And it was just a big moment of, I guess, sadness there for JJ. So he's not going to want to relive that past trauma. Can't really fault him. Back on the talking point of Theme Park, I recall when Elyssar were trying to play up against Aerial Academy back for SFCL, you had JJ trying to actually bait Aerial Academy into picking that map because that is one of the stronger maps for their team, for JJ in particular, and they were not having any of that nonsense. They banned it off the bat, and they basically forced JJ to go through L week, basically, and they just were not able to keep up against Aerial Academy. And hopefully now that they get to go to their favorite map heading into the second map after Chalet, they should be in some finer waters, but for Chalet, this is a map that Elyssar don't really play too frequently, and against Aerial Academy, this was a map they got butchered on.
I mean, this is a map where fraggers come out in a big way. And when you have big fans, like I said, Matt Bonger's a gunner, Jarden's a bunger, Cordell can gun, Perseus is a good backline player, is going to be able to enable them. I can very much understand why big fans chose to take this map right off the rip, and they're on the attack half. This is traditionally an attacker side of map, but Elyssar chose to go on the defensive half. Now, looking at these bans, a couple big bans that come out here. The Flores ban is typically used to, make the utility clear a lot more difficult. A zombie is another one of those operators that can just cut off these line of sights that attackers are usually used to having. So I really do like the bans coming out from Elyssar, whereas on Big Fans, you have a little bit more standard bans in the Womai and the Nook. Don't want any of those, sneaky basement entries coming into the game.
Especially since you can tend to see Elyssar have to bring out that Nook from time to time. Hopefully she gets banned once again on Theme Park, since that is probably one of her best maps. You can really punish any kind of roam facet that only has one person in a specific area, and you just shut that down. Nook is just so strong at taking those one-to-one gun engagements that happen so frequently on a map like Theme Park. But again, not going to have to worry about that for another 40 minutes or so as we start out with Dining Room and Kitchen here for Elyssar's first defensive round, where they have just an array of defenders, more specifically Bino on the dock, most likely just to be that complete juggernaut throughout the round.
I mean, Doc getting the bailiff just absolutely is a game changer for this operator.
That too, yeah.
He's now going to be able to do a lot of your early site construction, which of course is desperately needed within competitive Rainbow Six. But the big change that really changes him is his ability to stim 200 HP and give anybody that he stims an overhill of 20 based off of their default HP. Such a massive pick. And one other operator, which we're seeing right now, that's going to be absolutely critical and probably define how aggressive this map is going to be played, is that Valkyrie pick coming out from Elyssar. The ability to have information, and for a team like Big Fans to not bring an IQ, they're not going to be aware that there might even be spotted. They might be getting C4'd from below. They're going to get swung when they think that they're safe. It's going to provide the defending teams a lot of opportunities to be aggressive, where otherwise they might not have been.
Big Fans already starting out here from the western side of the map. They've got Matt Bonger, another attacker as well, playing over by that solar double window, while the rest of the attack looks to maybe head their way in from the basement. Some vertical destruction being made here by Cordell to potentially get some nice long angles all the way down through Owl perhaps as well. That's a pretty common spot the defenders try to play in to deny that solar window presence, and having that range soft destruction can make sure you already have that long angle just completely denied here by the defensive side of Elyssar. So great destruction work being made so far by the attacking side, as it seems like they're just about ready to work off that info that no one's playing by source, so they can potentially enter the building itself and maybe start getting some of that vital map control.
I really like this decision from the side of Big Fans to just cut off the map in half. They're not going to worry about the entire library side. They're going to focus predominantly on taking solar control. And with players in West Main able to provide that cutoff angle, it's going to be very difficult for Elyssar to assist the players that are playing above. All that needs to happen now is for them to be able to rappel in, use their nades to create space, and hopefully use glass, like you can see above, basically just deny any angle that the attackers want to have to kind of deny this solar entry. And with this entry, they're going to be able to execute on site. They have all the map control that they need. They just need to start, maybe work some vertical picks here, or maybe just start playing trades. But Elyssar's in a really tough position.
Yeah, it's a 4 versus 2. There's a bit of a response now by Elyssar, but it has taken a good chunk of time. That diffuser is now down on the ground, but most certainly Big Fans can just pick that back up and begin the retaliation here on the bombs. Like Cordell's got complete control of both kitchen and dining, as Riot is currently playing above, trying to work for some verticality, but that might not be enough in this 3 versus 1. He expects one player up above by the highway and doesn't really have that many options to try to rotate around unless they want to go all the way back down in from either Fireplace or the blue stairs. They look for a better angle, trying to kill that player still on the window rappel, but they're not able to connect enough shots. Still that 1 versus 3. Still plenty of time for the offense to get that defuser down, but just now Matt Bonger will retrieve that case, and that allows Riot to win a quick 1-for-1 up on that top floor. So a 1 versus 2 retake could be a lot more doable here for the castle, especially if he has info, trying to work some verticality there with that secondary shotgun, but can't quite find the angle on the Glaz. Still currently typing away on the keyboard of that case. Post plant now confirmed here for the offensive side, and Riot is forced to play that retake towards the trophy stairs and loses a ton of HP taking that gunfight. Now forced back up above, maybe looking in through that hatch to try to work some sort of 1-for-1, but big fans, they've already began to fall back. There goes the grenade in response to that drop down, and it blows up directly onto Riot's position. Plenty of time left here in that position for the offense as they take round 1.
A very, very clinical attack coming out here from the side of big fans. The only real glaring red flag that I saw was their loss of diffuser control when they had sight and basically almost allowed Castle to kind of come back into it. But they were willing to trade a body to pick it up and then just use the utility that was provided to them to get a good plant down and have a good post plant. Overall, like they've got a really solid lineup. Their attack was really strong. It's very clear why this is their map choice. They seem very proficient on their solar take, which is something that a lot of these PugSec teams are not strong at doing. It requires, you know, your flashbangs to go at the right time, your smokes to go at the right time, right? And to have the Glaz on the window to use the Capital smoke, they're very codependent. So I'm really liking so far what I'm seeing out of big fans. They seem to be very much in control of these rounds, for the first round, and I'm just going to be looking forward to the following rounds and see if they can continue this pattern.
And for big fans, they didn't really overcomplicate that clear either. They had someone, you know, playing underneath, getting that vertical to make sure that Elyssar couldn't really help those teammates playing up above. So big fans were able to establish a lot of map control without putting in a major amount of effort. And on top of that, securing that 5-on-3 lead just gave them a lot more room to breathe going out for the rest of that clear. So although they lost the diffuser at one point, they still had a lot of time to recover and still a lot of players to work with to eventually just find those last 2 defenders and make sure they had a solid outgoing round all the way for that dining room attack. Big fans now looking to maybe clear from the library side as Elyssar don't opt to reattempt dining room, but instead want to go in for bar and gaming.
One thing I'm really liking about big fans is the simplicity of their attacks here. It looks like they're going once again for a site ISO kind of attack where they're going to try and take library control, and that's it. They're not going to deal with the other side of the map. They're going to have players on cutoff positions who are going to be able to deny roamers the ability to come back into site, and that's going to afford them a lot of opportunities to make mistakes when they don't have to waste as much time taking a ton of map control. When they, you know, for example, lose the diffuser like they did last round, they're going to be able to go pick it up and not have to be crunched for time or worrying about that 20-second vitality style execute. And by just taking out, you know, piece by piece, really small chunks, like here you can see them clearing out the library corner with Capital, right? So now the next step here is to try and clear this mezzanine player, which they've already got bodies who are rotating for that position. They're going to, once they have that control and they've basically controlled the top floor, they're going to be able to set themselves up for that execute.
Bit of info being gathered over towards 45. Have at least one player underneath in the basement, maybe trying to lurk up above, head either through blue stairs or something more direct, heading in towards that potential snowmobile staircase as well. Seems like for big fans, they still want to have a bit of a prioritization over by library, but they have that extra avenue in case it's required. You've got Kosa from that first floor shutting down JJ, but Bino's there on the trade towards Matt Bonger, so still don't have a lot of control over by library. But if you really wanted to hit up for a fast execute, if you have just one person holding that cutoff angle over by that double window on library and are able to actually slip through this defensive hold and get in from that double window, you can maybe set up that post plant position. Cordell opening up a nice angle with those Selma charges actually gets taken care of by Riot with the confirmation of that FMG9. 50 seconds to go now for big fans, and they are now turned at the disadvantage with really no way to enter into the bomb site properly. They've got to do this the potential old-fashioned way. You've got Jarden with the diffuser heading in through Mudroom. Kosa from that double door gets located out by a Banshee, and a Toxic Smoke is there to follow suit as well. Twizzler still playing by blue stairs, gets rid of that Lion from the equation. Now Perseus has to get active upstairs. Spots of the player tucked in that corner, will go for the wide swing, but Twizzler is there on the assist. Great coordination to back up your teammate, and now that leaves just Jarden as he hops into the bomb site, but now he has to worry not only about the site presence, but that verticality as well that Elyssar is still clinging on to. Good good shot on Nabino, but it's not enough to get the round win as Elyssar still holds strong, looking all the way from Library into the bomb site.
I mean, I like what big fans were trying to do there. You know, they're trying to go for that quick execute. I think ultimately the problem was they weren't able to gain the vertical control, or they weren't able to go fast enough. If they maintained the element of surprise and they were able to clear those frost mats, which were expertly placed by Elyssar, basically slowing down the entire push through the window that they wanted to do, then maybe they could have had that element of surprise. But because they had to clear those frost mats, they had to take a step back. Guys weren't entirely in position where they needed to be. Big fan or Elyssar was just basically able to hold back, maintain vertical control, and deny big fans entry into the round. And that is a site that's very difficult to clear out the players behind, say, like the bar or the player in stock if you don't have that vertical control. So I think ultimately what should have happened there is big fans needed to make a judgment call to maybe, you know, we're going to take a step back. This isn't going as fast as we want. The defenders have rotated. You know, let's go take the switch and rotate to take the top floor control. And if they did that, they might have had a fighting chance, but the way that they were just funneling there ultimately was what cost them that round.
Elyssar throughout the entire round as well had loads of info as to what big fans were attempting to do in that round. Not only just trying to, you know, get in from the big window as fast as they could. That was denied by the frost mats, and it did slow down big fans a whole lot, but also expecting that fireplace entryway by the Lion, expecting some of that presence over by the 45 angle as well that the ace was trying to open up to maybe get a cheeky kill from someone sitting in the bar room. Elyssar were completely anticipating the way that big fans were trying to attack that round, and that might have more or less been off the bat of just some proper information in that round. But now Elyssar opting to go back to dining room and kitchen, but for big fans, they're not going to reattempt the exact same attacking clear they did last time. Instead of starting out from solar, they go for a more default clear of beginning their way in from library, but Matt Bonger leading the charge, funny enough, on the glass pick.
I mean, Glaz as an entry operator is not half bad. He does have the bearing 9 for the close quarter combat range, and he does have 2 nades now. So he's not exactly like the worst operator to be entering, and which is traditionally Matt Bonger's role. He's an entry player. I think what ended up happening here is big fans saw the soft wall of box, which you're seeing right there in office, and I think they looked at that as an opportunity. If they only need to take a certain amount of map control, they only need to take top library, as we saw with their other 2 minimal takes that they've done. They're probably just going to, you know, put some holes in that wall to deny the vertical pressure, and then go for the execute onto site by opening up the dining wall.
So big fans still setting up a bit of extra information. We did see for a moment that Perseus was on that cutoff angle by master window. That can definitely help allow a couple of extra pressure points here for big fans if they still want to clear out some of that top floor. But now you begin to see at least one of the main Harbreachers beginning to rotate down into 45 once again. Selma charges ring out, and Jarden's not too far behind with that exothermic charge as well. 0 wall denial to stop either one of these positions from being opened up for the big fans, and Cordell as well, watching the flank, I believe, gets that opening gunfight as a win against JJ, and now having the luxury of those smokes and the glass combination, that could really set things up for a deadly post-plant position. And only for Elyssar, they have just Bry on the Warden to maybe shut that down. That's really it, and he's up above, so all things considered, big fans have pretty much nothing to stop them from actually getting that plant down in this 5 versus 3, and on top of that, it's a 5-on-3, like I just mentioned. They can just play for numbers as well. Maybe have someone go on a light lurk as well, since they have the bodies to throw out this problem. And there really is nothing that Elyssar can do, again, unless Bry is able to, you know, rotate down below and actually be a driving point for these last 30 seconds, since he is, again, really the only thing that can slow down that smoke plant from going through. But no, he gets spotted out by Cordell. Bry is taking care of a second kill off of that flank position. Raya is able to clean up onto the Twitch, but it's a bit too late now. Post-plant position, 4 versus 1 now for big fans, and I really don't think Riot's going to be able to find this ace to win the round for Elyssar. It just seems a bit too little too late, a little too much for the poor soul. Matt Bonger puts him out of his misery, and big fans retake the lead.
I'm really liking the usage of Glaz here. Who wants to peek a Glaz at long range through smokes? I mean, the Warden and Glaz, you know, you can go back and forth of who's going to win that engagement, and typically it's whoever's set up first, right? Because you have to stand still for the Warden glasses to work, and you have to stand still for the Glaz thermal optics to work. So with Glaz being posted up in the back, he's got a long angle fight. He's got 40 meters, you know, maybe 35 meters. Either way, you're at the max distance for your guns. So he's going to do full damage because he's got a sniper rifle, whereas the MPX is just going to tickle people. So unless you're getting the headshot with the MPX and you're already set up, that Warden isn't going to counter smokes at all. He just comes in, they get the plant down, and you saw right away, as soon as the Warden tried to peek through the smokes on the execute, he got immediately taken out. It was a very clinical round from big fans. I really liked their flank watch that we saw from Cordell down in the basement. They anticipated JJ going for that flank right off the bat, and because of that, they were able to lock down the map control that they wanted, get their flank stone established, get the wall open quickly, and just take full advantage of that execute. And they had plenty of time to go when they did go for that execute. So very surgical round for big fans. And like I said, this is very clearly, a map they feel comfortable on. This is why they took him to this map.
Not only Cordel's early round presence, but the late round presence too on that Twitch, having the ability to, I guess, move around from West Main Stairs, creep up that position, and find 2 extra kills to make it complete ease of access there for the rest of big fans to get into the bomb site with the help of that glass coverage, with the help of those smokes to set up that post plant position and guarantee that Elyssar are not coming back in that round. Fantastic coordination by big fans so far for round number 3, but for round number 4 in this snowmobile attack, it seems like they're struggling a bit with getting rid of those electro claws. It seems like you at least have one placed up above on the ceiling of this roof, the second one deployed, but I believe it was actually denied by that EMP, so you still have that back wall opened up, and not really too big of a concern here for big fans in that first minute. It just seemed like that first initial grenade toss was a bit botched because of where the Cade Claw was placed.
I'm surprised they even went for the grenade toss when we have Thatcher. You can't Cade trick a Thatcher. Thatcher just needs to throw 2 AMPs and they get that wall for free. They could have saved the nade for maybe a piece of utility or even a defender later on. I think that was a bit of a misplay, but again, big fans are going for these minimal takes, and as a result, they're able to, oh my god, well, never mind, I take it all back. Wow. I was going to say, they're able to have those mistakes, but apparently not, because Bino's going to get a nice flank off on the top 2 players on top mez and put down a lot of the vertical pressure that, maybe big fans was looking to have onto site, and now it's really just Cordell versus Bino on the top floor, and he doesn't have flashbangs. This is going to be very difficult for Cordell to be able to dig out this player who's just wasting a ton of time right now.
I just need to wait for someone to help assist him. I think Perseus is here to maybe do that, getting that coordination from both blue stairs and that Ivy hallway. Also have Twizzler as well, maybe setting up a flank by Trophy. This really could be pandemonium up on this top floor as Bino is still wasting loads of time, like you mentioned, Tanner. The spray comes out from Library, still waiting for the buck to peek him. Now a triple kill for the Jaeger as he is just wasting so much on that top floor. Like you had mentioned earlier, a minute left to go in the round, and all that big fans have to show for it is that back wall that was opened up in the first minute of this round. Jarden is able to catch Bino as he tries to fall away, so things look a little bit better here for big fans, but I don't think they're completely aware as if there's still a roamer up above or not. I think all of Elyssar has now began to fall back down into the basement floor just to guarantee they can play for numbers in this 3 versus 2, and for the most part, only have to worry about that southern side of the map. You've got at least the Nomad playing up by Snowmobile Stairs, and Jarden has now rotated back to the hard breach, but Bry is anticipating this. He's tucked over by the trash can to wait for that perfect moment where Jarden just hops in and will get mowed by that SMG since he's so low in HP, and they don't have really any info. Perseus has 1 drone left in his back pocket potentially, and that's it. It might just be deployed somewhere else on the map too, so basically no information here for big fans. That long-range TCSG puts a quick bullet hole into Jarden, and Bry as well still playing behind that trash can, cleans up the last kill for Elyssar, and they keep us tied for a second time.
I mean, as much as I've been giving big fans a lot of credit, Elyssar is, they got their half. Like, this is typically, like I said, an attacker side of map. You want a 4-2 half on the attack half. Well, the defenders have already got there too. So anything they get after this point is gravy, considering how easy it is to sometimes attack on this map with a lot of cutoff angles. I really liked that 3K from Bino. And not only was it the 3K, it was the amount of time that he wasted. He got the first 2 picks and he didn't immediately try to fall back or try to take another gunfight. He tucked himself into Library knowing that his opponents had to clear him. And as a result, big fans, when they went to go get the execute on site, had no time to drone and no time to rotate their drones from the opposite side of the map. And they had no drones left almost period other than the one from Perseus. And that enabled players like I think it was Bry on the alibi there in the trash can to hold a rat position they weren't expecting and just take a very easy clinical round win. Also a good decision from JJ to call his players back, get them to hold their crossfires and their trade potentials in sight. And that's just it. Like, just a great performance from Bino, good capitalization coming out from the side of Elyssar, good rat positions, no time left, and big fans are kind of just put on the back foot right from the beginning.
Elyssar able to play into their strengths for round number 4. I agree the call for JJ there to make sure that they don't throw away any more bodies on that top or middle floor. was the right call to make sure you had the man advantage with those last 20 seconds in the round for big fans. Now heading into Master, a site that tends to not be played too often. Maybe Elyssar just want to keep things simplistic up against big fans just to see if they can win by their own mechanical skill, and maybe once again just catching a couple of players off guard for those ratty roams. For big fans, they want to start from the bottom floor, working their way up just to make sure they can catch those roamers off guard early on, just to maybe work some sort of early gunfight in their way. And we might already see that Twizzler is not too far away from the Ash, and having the info of that Ash shooting off the default camera nets Elyssar a pretty early opening kill, almost for free, unless Matt Bonger could maybe work this trade. But I think Twizzler is aware that someone wants to take another gunfight against him, and he'll just play a bit farther back, waiting for some teammates to perhaps back him up. Still a good potential play here for Matt Bonger to win that 1v1, but now his position is known by the Mute, looking to instigate once again, but thankfully he wins that altercation. Now Riot is here to take his place. The impact grenade goes off, and Matt Bonger's back is turned, allowing the man advantage to go right back into Elyssar's back pocket.
I mean, that's the advantage of having all the information from Valkyrie. I wonder if they had a camera down there, most likely considering the vert pressure that big fans have been playing throughout this entire match so far. Have that information down there, enable the Valkyrie to come get the good trade off of Twizzler and basically get him a 2-for-1, putting, again, Elyssar in the driver's seat of this round. Now we're looking at big fans trying to do a solar take here, but they only have flashbangs. They don't have nades to dig out any positions. They only have like 1 gone 6, so this is going to be very difficult for the side of big fans to make any progress or any leeway into solar. And just as I say that, JJ is going to be able to take out Jarden on the rappel, swing and get Casa as well. And now we're sitting in a 4v1 for Cordell, who has to basically push to his death into a DMR, which isn't going to be advantageous. He gets 1 pick on the Cordell, but now as he pushes up the stairs, he does not have the diffuser control, so he has to go for picks. There's only 50 seconds left. He knows where one of the players is above him, an Owl. Good use of the buck to dig him out, but yet again, like he's wasting his own time. He needs to start taking these engagements. He's got 40 seconds to kill 3 players. They know he's got to come up the stairs. They're going to be able to play the trades, and there you go. Daddy Riot's going to be able to get a nice pick on Cordell and put Elyssar in the driver's position with a 3-2 half, which any team that's defending on Chalet would love to have at this point.
Solid job by Twizzler to secure that entry, having basically a boatload of information on the Ash, trying to creep their way up the west main stairs. There goes a pretty free 1-for-1. Sure, Matt Bonger is there to help assist, but Riot not leaving his teammate for dead. He's able to drop down, heading in from 45, working in the dining room to immediately shut down that map control big fans had just gained, and on top of that, re-solidifying that man advantage, making sure they can once again just throw bodies at the problem if need be. And once again, big fans, just for that round, they were just on the outside looking in, it seems, since although they had a good start clearing out that basement floor, once they had converted themselves a floor higher, they weren't able to do all too much against Elyssar's defensive master.
I mean, you just gotta admire the adaptations coming out here from Elyssar too. They're understanding the way that big fans are playing this map with the bottom up approach. They're anticipating that early basement entry, and when we were able to get that very nice kills at the beginning of the round from I believe it was Twizzler on the basement entry, kind of put his team on the put the right foot forward for the remainder of the round. And just keep playing the disciplined numbers. And JJ was really good at adapting that. They're able to get the big pick on the window and just take the full aggression. Elyssar is putting themselves in a position here where they can just run the clock out, and big fans are going to let them do that every single round.
Are back up in contention here for Elyssar. They did a pretty solid job of making sure that big fans could not actually enter into the bomb site or really library effectively as well, just by having one simple gadget of those bear traps to make sure that big fans' element of surprise trying to hit the site fast wasn't going to work unless they were willing to sacrifice a couple of players in the process of that. Twizzler opting to go for the exact same extension over by library will now fall back down through the hatch and try to be a bit more aggressive in from that first floor. But already it seems like Elyssar are pretty aware as to how big fans want to try to attack in this round, as it seems like nothing much has really changed, dawning all the way back to round number 2 when this site was first in play.
I mean, and that's kind of a red flag for me already in the beginning of the series. The fact that nothing is changing and they're still going for the same minimal take that didn't work against an opponent that can adapt. That means going forward after this round or even into map 2, it's going to be very easy for JJ to anticipate and predict how big fans are going to be able to play. They're going to keep doing the same takes over and over again. That makes it really easy to rotate utility and adapt.
Hey, you have those Selma charges going off once again. Cordell losing a bit of HP, and once again will be dropped down by the Frost. A bit of deja vu will ring out. Matt Bonger, though, playing off of that double window, has a bit of info, expects Twizzler to peek him, and he'll be able to shut him down almost immediately. JJ does get rid of Kosa, though, and the rest of this execute does seem to be stalled, but up until now, though, the smoke bolts go out here by Jarden, and he is able to start getting that diffuser down, but his coverage is denied. Bry sprays down into the Capitao, but it's the secondary swing to put him in the dirt finally. Now a 3 versus 1 with Perseus still, like I said earlier, on the outside looking in, has to step into his final resting place. He's put down 6 feet under by that 416, and Elyssar take a 4-2 half, I believe it to be, on their opponent's map pick.
On their opponent's map pick on an attacker-sided map.
Yeah,
this is not a good look for big fans. There's a lot of red flags, like I mentioned, on their attack app. Not really changing, not really adapting, only going for that minimal take. And now as we swap over, they're going to be on the big foot. I'm going to be looking for them to get a little bit of a more aggressive here. And I'm curious to see why they're not electing to bring the Valkyrie when it is available. That is a very curious decision coming out here from big fans. But we do see the Rook Dock combo. So, I mean, that's pretty good for holding Solar Stairs. That means nades can't blow up anyone with 1 grenade. The most you can get is a down, and with the new Rook Armor buff, you're going to be able to pick yourself back up, or Doc can stim you right back up to full health. Maybe that's why they're choosing not to bring something like a Jaeger for projectile denial or a Rooney. But ultimately, it looks like they're just bringing guns. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But bring a 1.5. Let's swing some stuff, you know?
Seems like the idea. I think every operator here can bring a 1.5 optic or higher. You've got the Frost 9mm that still has 1.5. That might have actually been removed.
No,
So-
it just got re-added.
That's right. I was correct about it. There we go. I have learned how to read. Jarden's got the 1.5, same with Cordell, Perseus, and Kosa. So yeah, looks like to be a very frag-heavy type of composition. And I would have to agree, though, Tanner, bringing out the Valkyrie here, especially when you have a lot of these floors that are actually soft, if you can still play underneath, maybe have a C4 or 2, that could immediately deny a plant from going down for Elyssar if they are actually in a position to set up for that objective-based style of play. But so far, speaking of the attacking team of Elyssar, looks like they want to just stick to the basis, get some info down from trophy side, having a couple of repels over by Solar as well. And on top of that, still have some cutoff angles established too, over by the master side of the map from that double window. So it seems like they want to do a Solar overtake rather than be getting their way from library, which makes sense because they have ranged hard.
And there's also no projectile denial in the form of Wamai, which is banned,
Exactly.
or Jaeger. So this is going to be very easy. We just need to toss some nades in, deny some angles, and just immediately take the map control off of these nades, and they should be successful. I don't like, man. I'm still, that Valkyrie pick is gonna end up costing, hopefully, or not hopefully, but there's a high likelihood it's gonna end up costing for big fans because their aggressions now is going to be random as opposed to directed off of information. The only BP we saw is over on the library side. So there's absolutely no info once this default camera in Solar gets destroyed for big fans to be able to swing and use all those powerful 1.5s off.
Seems like Elyssar just want to cut to the chase and get right into the bomb site. Here comes the Ivana of JJ. No diffuser holding him back. He just gets his hands dirty without the bearing, or without the primer weapon of that Type 89. Gets the job done with that bearing 9 in close quarters confrontation. A bare knuckle brawl as Wyatt now begins to stick down that diffuser. JJ with great coverage, now sticking for that primary gun. And Matt Bonger, already looking down at that cutoff angle, knows his fate is set in stone. JJ with a triple kill on the hard breach. Who says support players cannot frag? JJ would say otherwise, as Elyssar now go up 5 rounds.
I liked how JJ executed into the site. He got his pick, immediately turned around to plant because he's the hard breach player and realized he didn't have the diffuser. So he had to go play coverage for his team.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Old habits die hard. But hey, he was let off the leash, so to speak. He actually wasn't there to get that diffuser down, instead just covered. But honestly, with JJ, he tends to be a very active, support player. He's more than willing to get into the opening gunfight a lot of times on that Habana role, which sometimes can be a bit of a detriment, but in that case, it was completely fine. Again, he wasn't that diffuser player. He already had done his job getting that back wall opened up, so he had a good gun on that hard support role with the Type 89, so he just got active, won a couple of gunfights, and did enough to secure a 5th round now for Elyssar on a map that they tend to kind of ignore like the plague, but I guess they have improved a lot on this map where big fans just can't really keep up with them.
I think it's just JJ's figured out what's going on with the side of
Yeah.
big fans. Like big fans are bringing guns, they're funneling into choke points, so not really using a whole lot of utility on the attack or the defensive half. You can see it there, and even on their attack halves, were very predictable. They're just walking in a straight line, basically into the gunfights of the team of Elyssar. So all Elyssar did there was, hey, you want to swing us? We're going to swing you right back. Take the momentum, take the peeker's advantage, and basically push big fans all the way back to piano, back to office with no information, no ability to deny the plant because they don't bring any utility. And it's just, that was just a clinical round from Elyssar. If they can keep that up on this attack half, this is going to be a very quick map.
But imagine they do. Sure, it might be a little more challenging to maybe, attack sites like Bar and Gaming, for example, that tend to have a lot more love and care put into them by the defense. But if you're not going to have a very util-based kind of composition there for the defensive side of big fans, I could imagine Elyssar are going to be more than willing to punish those areas once again. That's exactly what we saw. There was nothing over by Solar. They take that map control almost for free, and they have all those different kind of cutoff angles established. No one can try to flank properly from the trophy side of the map as well. They had everything accounted for, and it just seems like for their composition, they're looking to measure twice and cut once. And it seems like for big fans, their ideology of that, well, their blade isn't even sharp enough to cut properly so far on their defensive half. But now they're looking to try and defend dining room and kitchen, where they will be given a little more freedom to defend that top floor, as it is not the bomb site anymore. But their lineup, to me, definitely does not really scream utility-based composition. It more or less just screams, again, we want to take gunfights, especially since there is no wall denial once again.
No wall denial, no Valkyrie. It's just basic utility. Yeah. The only real form of plant denial I would say they have is maybe a Maestro Cam, which, as we've seen throughout the last 2 years of professional play and competitive play, a Maestro Cam isn't really enough to stop a plant from going down in most cases. Most teams will destroy all forms of info before they even go for a site execute. So once again, it looks like they're bringing guns that they want to play, and they're going to be swinging a little bit more aggressively. I do like, however, the change of the Jaeger and the Aruni. I think that gives them a little bit more flexibility to sit and fight in specific positions, whether that be top mezzanine or whether that be top solar, where they're going to basically not die immediately to grenades or be pushed off of power positions because of nades. But like I said, there's not a whole lot of depth to the utility or the strat that they're bringing right now.
I could imagine you have maybe some of those ADS or Sirius to help enable that one deployable shield. It does seem like a good chunk of Jaeger's primary GAD that was put towards Solar Stairs, and already it gets destroyed by that fragmentation grenade. So Kosa's position is going to be a little more vulnerable for himself, not only having those people on the double window set, but also having a guy holding his rotate. There's someone playing over by that trophy window, so there aren't too many options left for the Jaeger to play for, except maybe just wasting a bit more time, getting a bit aggressive perhaps as well, just to go for a gunfight. But in that position on the staircase, probably not going to want to even do that. But Perseus, looking to help assist his teammate on that Solar Staircase, will actually get blown up sky high by the grenade, and Bry just hops in from the bathroom, shuts down Kosa as well. It's immediate map control from the northern side of the map, and now a good chunk of that defensive prowess has to try to retake inadvertently on their own extension on this top floor. So far, Cordell and Matt Bonger are kind of locked out from the opposing half of this top floor. They're looking to retake just a bit. Cordell swings out with the P90, but has no clue Bry's in the corner, waiting for him to take that gunfight, and Riot as well, eliminating Matt Bonger, leaving just Jarden now in a 1v5. Sure, he's got the Alda, but does he have enough info or position to get the job done? Absolutely not. Elyssar take the round flawlessly to secure match point.
I love the explosiveness of that round coming up from Elyssar. Using that nade to just create the space to allow your Ash to enter in. They never let their foot off the gas. It was entirely big fans trying to react, and you could see they were not prepared for that. They were expecting that grenade kill to go to the player on the staircase. You know, maybe he's able to dodge it, pull back, and stay up. But that was not the case at all. They attacked his assistant player who was playing inside a master by eliminating that alibi. That freed up the entire bathroom approach for the Ash. And then once that happened, the floodgates were open. It was a very good identification from Elyssar to switch up who your main target or your main pivot point target player was, and to go and kill that player and then to completely flood. I don't think big fans recovers from that. I'm gonna keep it frank. I don't think big fans recovers after that tempo round.
Keep it a $150. Get real with the chat, as some would say.
There's no cap in this hat, all right?
Absolutely. Maybe a feather in the hat of Elyssar, as they actually look good on Chalet for one of the first few times. And then they get to go to Theme Park if they end up winning this matchup too. So that's even better because, again, we mentioned this a moment ago. That is probably one of JJ's best maps, period. That's always been a staple pick for him for quite some time now. That and like maybe Cafe as well. Those are like the top two that come to my mind. Maybe Villa as an honorable mention, but we don't talk about Villa nowadays, so.
no, not today, JJ.
Yeah. As we allow the rest of chat to remember about that moment in T3, T2 history. Elyssar begins to work their way on that top floor clear, and Dino, off the bat, I believe he caught Cordell trying to maybe spawn peek from mudroom window. That might have been the case, if not somewhere else in the map, but that's still an opening kill for Elyssar that they are glad to take with not even 40 seconds burned off the clock. And on top of that, I believe they've already broken 2 of those Vulcan packs as well, looking to take care of this mirror window as well. They are just surgical when it comes to this utility clear, Tanner.
I mean, Perseus isn't hitting his shots either. How many times he tried to hit that drone? This is just not the situation you want to be in. We saw how effective Elyssar was at taking gaps, and you're going to give him an opening pick right off the beginning of the round. That's going to alleviate or create basically a lane for the attackers to approach from that the defenders don't have the guns or the eyes to be able to watch entirely. And as you can see here, they're just, there it is. The gap was through the ego window. He jumps in, he's going to be able to take out the mezzanine player, and with mezzanine being picked, library now frees up, and the next engagement is going to be the player on top of blue stairs.
Ooh, good swing out by Matt Bonger. Bino is there to capitalize, though, as he tries to fall back down the staircase. Elyssar still continue to cling on to that man advantage as you've got both vector-wielding defenders of Jarden and Kosa trying to now play for that retake. Clean spray by Jarden as he now drops down the hatch, trying to keep this equalized position for as long as he can, now rotating a bit closer back towards the bomb site. But for Elyssar, if they had known that either objective room is up for grabs, they could have maybe set up for that post-plant position, but they do so. Bino with decent coverage kills Jarden. Kosa there on the response forces JJ off the plant as he's now locked in for a 1v1, and Kosa wins it. Big fans hold on as they take round number 9 by the skin of their teeth.
They were not in control of that round, but they managed to claw it back. I mean, you still have a shooter's chance, you still have the puncher's chance, and Big fans were able to do a very good job of minimizing their casualties on the top floor and basically taking out a couple of the attackers who were trying to push in through library. And then there was a very good swing on that Twitch player at the very end from the side of Big fans. 2 players swinging versus 1. They took a 1-for-1 and basically gave themselves a chance. Otherwise, at the beginning of the round, they didn't really have a chance. They didn't have C4 to deny the plant, and they basically forced JJ into a final gunfight to win the final round, or the final engagement of that round. And now, you know, there's still some life left to this team. Whether or not they're going to be able to do anything else with it, well, it remains to be seen.
Jarden and Kosa, good realization by them to understand in a 4 versus 2, they're probably going to have to work a couple of kills to make sure that they can still keep the round afloat, as there aren't going to be too many options for you with the lack of a top floor presence and also lack of a man advantage to actually stop the attack from getting that plant down with ample coverage as well. Still keeping things afloat for the time being, but a couple more holes out of their boat and they will be sinking down to the Mariana Trench in a few short moments as Elyssar, once again, they only need 1 more round win. And now we're going back to Master, I believe it'd be here, for Big fans. And this was a site that Elyssar just brutalized Big fans on. Sure, they now have a little bit more utility to defend these positions now, but not to a big extent. I think the biggest addition is now having Kosa on the castle, since that wasn't brought out the first time, and also the Aruni, but that isn't adding a huge amount of utility, since Elyssar have been bringing out multiple sets of range soft destruction, plenty of burn with those flashes and concussive lifelines, and on top of that, 2 sets of grenades.
I mean, I don't want to be Casa in this position. You know he's the first target. As soon as they find out that he's in this corner or on these staircases, there's going to be a ton of flashbangs and a ton of grenades coming his direction. And if he's able to survive, which I don't know how he does without ADSs, then, you know, maybe they have a chance. But, you know, no ADSs. What'd I say, John?
Yep.
He just gets naded out of position. And now, once again, Elyssar have got the gap that they want. If they, as soon as they identify that they can just repel into Solar and take that map control, they're going to be once again in the driver's seat of this round.
I think they were just looking for another opportunity to win a gunfight, and Bino immediately will take that engagement from the trophy window. Now turned to 5-on-3. Jarden stimming himself back up, gets back into the action and does get rid of Riot, but you got a 4 versus 3 now. But hold on. Bryce somehow catches Matt Bonger on the bathroom window, and okay. Elyssar, just the explosivity of that round, literally and figuratively, will take map number 1 with relative ease, a 7-3 victory, and a majority of those rounds coming from their defensive half. What a great start by Elyssar. They might be able to punch their ticket on Theme Park if they continue this kind of aggression.
Will JJ finally be able to do it?
Can the cycle be broken?
I don't know. Are we
Maybe.
witnessing history? Or is JJ going to make history here, as we say? I don't know. Oh man, but what a great performance coming out from Elyssar. They did a very good job of maintaining tempo and control throughout. At no point did they really look like they were on the back foot. And once after Big Fans, you know, they played their glass trick, they played their you know, one-off takes. Elyssar did a very good job on their defensive half, adapting to the utility, adapting to the way that Big Fans likes to push. And I think if they could just continue to do that, it's gonna be lights out on Theme Park. That's a very, very difficult map to attack. Chalet, very easy map to attack. And Big Fans are running out of time on Chalet. Imagine now they're going to go to a Theme Park, much bigger map, much more map control you need to take. This is not going to be a pretty attack half. I'm already foreseeing this for the side of Big Fans.
The adaptability as well on the attacking half for the offense too. I could imagine Big Fans were thinking, you know, with that Wamai ban, they might feel a little more inclined to have their opponents crutching on something else. They didn't really feel all too perplexed when the Wamai was banned. They brought out multiple sets of grenades and really punished the fact that there wasn't a lot of utility to slow down Elyssar. And what we saw by them was just, like you mentioned, that snappiness by them on the attack. They were looking to try to find those openings with the grenade, so they were a bit more back into the round. They weren't too, I guess, vulnerable to take those gun engagements. And after they found those opening picks, instantly they took map control. They denied any sort of retake by their opponents of Big Fans as well, and they just had a pretty seamless execute because they were going into almost every single execute with some sort of man advantage and decent info along with time management too. So really, they played a textbook definition of what you need to do on the attack here, especially for Chalet Tanner.
I mean, they just lost a couple rounds for Big Fans clutches, and that's something every competitor kind of has to go in there expecting. Just want to bring up something, though. We do have an update with the Eclectic versus Citizens Arrest game. Eclectic have punched their tickets into SCS. They managed to beat out Citizens Arrest 2-0. So for those who don't know this roster, that is Zach, Z, Semi, Duke, and Haiku. They all punched their ticket. They're going to be in SCS for SCS7.
I know Haiku in particular has been a pretty solid player for quite some time. I know he didn't get his like quote unquote debut for Outlast when Braxton was playing in, you know, T3, T4, but that is where a lot of people got to kind of know him as a player, and he's been doing really well ever since. Even though he took a bit of a break going on a coaching role for some time, he came back as a player, and now he's in SCS, so good on him to continue to have that ball rolling and having all these new players as well try to join forces with him as well to just see what they have here in SCS. But with all that being said, we're going to hop into a quick little break before we head into map number 2, just to get everyone, you know, rejuvenated before we see Theme Park underway. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Pollard's on a double though, and he finds the third for the smoke. Just an ult. Yeah, he gets a 3K with an ult. With 3 seconds left, Final lands the pre-fire. Nobody can kill him in time. He clutches it out. What a play from the alibi as the lobby player goes unchecked.
We are back now with the coverage of the closed qualifier match between Elyssar and Big Fans, with a big upset here for the Pug Stack team hosting Matt Bonger. They lost on their map pick of Chalet and are looking against their opponent's pick of Theme Park. Tanner, this does not look good for the side of Big Fans whatsoever.
No, this is not where you want to go. I always say you win a best of 3 in 3 maps. You win your map and you win the decider. That's typically what's expected here. But when you lose your map, and not only lose your map, but in such a dominating fashion, do you see from the side of Elyssar, it's got to be a mental chocker for sure. They're going to need to take this break, have a heart-to-heart talk as a team, figure out what they need to do to attack. But starting off Theme Park, they're on the defensive half here. They need to have a big half. I think the biggest issue that they had is they weren't utilizing the strong operator, the strong info operators that they want to do or used for like their play style, like the aggressiveness, to swing everything, bring a 1.5 and get aggressive. They need to I think if they bring more information to help enable that kind of play style, maybe they're going to have a little bit more of a strong showing, and they need it because their attack half, that was brutal, John. It was just brutal.
A bit on the sloppy side as well. You talked about the time management. On a map like Chalet, that sure, it does have 3 floors, but you tend to execute a lot faster on that map. In comparison to Theme Park, that sure, it's got 2 floors, but you can roam a lot more effectively on that map and kind of, I guess, scrape away at that time factor for the offensive side. So if you do not have that time management really cranked up a notch here by Big Fans on their attacking half, that could be devastating. But in the name of our Lord JJ, we've got something special for you, a quick little prayer to maybe help bolster up the morale here of Elyssar. We've got a tweet ready that JJ had posted earlier this week, and I'll read it aloud for all of us to hear. Dear Lord, bring this famine to an end. For years, my teammates and I have suffered as a result of your cruelty. We repent and ask for forgiveness. Please let the sun shine down on me as you did in CCS Quals. Hashtag SCS7. By the Mr. Sack. Amen.
It's beautiful. It's just so beautiful. I love this music. I mean, oh man, I really hope this is one of these players that ever since the last qualifier, I've been very impressed with how he's been playing. He's shown a lot of fortitude as a competitor to keep coming back and back and back after each subsequent, time he's losing. And that takes a lot of heart and a lot of guts. And each time he does, he comes back stronger. And it might not be what he wanted in stage 3, but that's propelled him to be an absolute menace. We saw that in that last game on Chalet, where he's just putting up these big numbers. He's taking aggressive picks. He's organizing his players efficiently. He's capitalizing on their successes. I want it so bad. Come on, JJ. JJ's got to win this map, right? He's not gonna.
We're rooting for him, man.
He's
Really
not gonna
are.
blow it.
Say, hopefully he makes it into SCS so we get more of those JJ interviews perhaps as well. That was a bit of a guilty pleasure for a lot of us over at SFCL. That and Ambi interviews, which with Aerial Academy qualifying after beating the Favelas, I believe before qualifier number 1 officially started, we might get that same treat later during the regular season as well. But we'll focus on if Elyssar are actually going to make it past this close qualifier match, but it does look like they will most likely do so. It again is one of their stronger map picks of Theme Park, and the bans look pretty normal for a map like Theme Park as well. You've got the Nook, which Big Fans ended up banning earlier on Chalet, Jackal, Azami, and Kaid, all really strong operators in their own sense, especially for a map such as this.
So a couple things I see with these bans, right? Valk's still up. So is
true.
Are Big Fans going to take it? No, but at least they're bringing the Echo. I mean, that's some active info. You can have Echo driving around and trying to assist your roamers. That kind of counts. I'll take that. But the other big thing is with the Jackal and the Nook being banned, you're seeing a lot of the strongest lurking operators being taken off of the map. Maybe this isn't a game where we're going to see as much of the lurking happening, or maybe it's not going to be as dominant as it can be if either Jackal or Nook are available to their opponents. But once again, we're seeing the Rook-Doc combo.
Yeah, this, if you put a nice little label over Big Fans' name and logo and just had Noob Slayers instead, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they've got the exact same lineup that they would run. Just bring out a Rook and Doc and just see how long you can survive on this map. It's what they have done countless times, and albeit they did beat a team like Achieve Esports, who were looking pretty good in SFCL for quite some time, having that same success on a team like Elyssar, on their best map, probably not going to be the case. We might not see that Cinderella story here of the Pug Stack team. It might just be Elyssar to keep things, I guess, status quo and find another map win in this best of 3, as this exact same combination, Tanner, did not work out whatsoever. And really the only major difference is what you mentioned of the Echo now being played by Jarden. But there's even situations where you're not going to get that luxury of using the Yokais for that active information or active plant.
I mean, it doesn't even, they don't even have wall denial, John. Like,
Nope.
they have no wall denial. The only info they have are these like little echo drones, which are going to get droned out by the side of Elyssar and taken out here relatively quickly. And they're going to be basically playing off of proxy alarms once these echo drones get picked. Because as you can see with Jarden right there, there's no one really in a position to enable or play off of that echo drone. Like, the closest player is top yellow, and the drone's just sitting there. And from the looks of it, it's already taken out. So
wow.
Once again, yeah, Elyssar is just going to find the gaps. They're going to exploit it. They're going to exploit the fact that there's no projectile denial, no Jaeger, no Womai. They're going to just push into site, take map control, create space, and just pick apart the side of big fans. It's a 4v2 already, and we're only a minute 15 on Theme Park, John. On Theme Park.
Yeah, monstrous start. Wow, they're even forcing Cordell to run out the map to rotate into storage. That is just so risky here by the Oryx, but what options does he have in that 4v2? Pretty much nothing else, but here it is. Dino just hops down yellow and gets a free kill for himself, now lining up 2 in this round altogether, and Riot cleans it up with a nice ribbon on top of that present of the first round win. I mean, we called it, Tanner. Nothing much has really changed for big fans in their lineup, so I could imagine the round count isn't going to change all too much either, and that's going to become factual after that first round.
Yo, guys, this is what big fans are. They're like, yo, guys, I know what the problem was. We didn't have echo. That's it. Like,
now we're going to let our roamers have info to have them swing crazy.
Oh my!
That's what you think.
That was a Theme Park Throne. By the way, Throne is the best defensive site statistically in all of competitive Rainbow Six right now, and that round was over in a minute and 20 seconds or a minute 30 seconds. I don't know. This is not looking good. This is not looking good. We need big fans to have a big half. That's not how you want to start it. And we're going into the second round. And what do we see? The same lineup, except they have a Womai now. So I mean, but they still have no info. I guess they have 2 VPs. I don't know. I don't have any faith, John. I have no faith.
Ye have little faith. I can't really fault you, because starting out at map 1, I was really hyping up the fact that Elyssar do not like playing on Chalet. When Aerial Academy realized that and picked it against them in a best of 3, Elyssar got slapped around like crazy. But when they go to Chalet against their opponents here, big fans, they were able to return the favor, maybe envisioning that it was Aerial Academy all along, and they managed to get that sweet, sweet taste of revenge. Now they're on Theme Park, which is a map they've been pretty good on throughout a good chunk of their lineage. So big fans, once again, not looking to really change much. At least they do have the mile available, like you mentioned, so some of those flashes or grenades could get countered, but you've got 6 flashes altogether. So I don't think util management is going to be a problem here for Elyssar, because they just have a plethora of it.
Oh, and they're bringing a Flores, so there's no mute jammer. It's not going to deny the Flores at all. So Flores is going to be able to clear all the Aruna gates with the flashbangs. He's going to be able to get his drones in, find the BPs, give them a little bit of extra info. That shield, that's going to be gone in about 2 seconds. And simultaneously, while that's happening, on the other side of the map, you know, there's no projectile denial over here to protect against, you know, flashbangs and nades as they're going to take break. And it just looks like big fans, their whole defensive setup here is just stretched absolutely thin. As you already see, Elyssar's got a foothold in the map, and they've already got a launching point to basically determine how they want to attack this top floor site of initiation offense.
Ooh, Jarn's going to be very careful. If someone can help assist over by control, for example, here, maybe the offensive side could get away with a free kill, but no, Cordell expects that break hop in. Is able to find that opening kill on the attacker by that location. So maybe if Cordell is still hard focused on this cafe balcony position, there could be another kill lined up for the alibi. Matt Bonger able to assist, stopping anyone from entering in from cafe properly. Twizzler now dropping down from the hatch, I believe to be, connects onto 1 kill, but swiftly traded back here by Kosa, and Matt Bonger clean with another response with that MP5K, now leaving just Riot in a 1 versus 4. Seems like big fans were well prepared with dealing with that attack and clear over by Break Room and Cafe. However, Riot has been put in these positions beforehand and is able to win them out. So a 1v3, definitely not impossible, but it can be rather challenging, especially since Big Fans has plenty of info, knowing where exactly Riot is from not only him killing one of their teammates that were still alive, but also that bulletproof camera that was just destroyed a moment ago. Now Riot begins to enter his way in from waiting room, and he is now swiftly taken care of by Matt Bonger. A triple kill for the Mute. Big Fans do retaliate at least with one round.
I mean, the big change there was that Big Fans were able to get that opening pick, and I think that namely comes off of a mistake from JJ, getting very aggressive there on the player on top arcade. It looked like he knew he was there, and he was going for the kill, but there was no assistance coming out from the utility of his other teammates. You know, we saw two people outside a cafe with flashbangs. They could have flashed that guy out, they could have droned him out, they could have stunned him, they could have put some extra pressure on him, perhaps, and not have JJ have to enter in as the hard breacher there. And I think that's just more of a command decision coming out from JJ allowed basically Big Fans to get that opening pick. And once they have the opening pick, you know, there's no gaps in their defenses at that point. They're able to collapse to where the main push is happening. And as a result of that, Big Fans were able to mop up a bunch of picks and put Riot into a 1v4. And at that point, it's just wraps. But again, Theme Park's one of the most offensive-sided maps. Those kind of mistakes and those kind of risks, you have to take them as an attacker. So I'm not going to fault JJ too badly here. If they can pick up 1 or 2 more rounds here, they've got the half that they're looking for. And then it's just all about punishing the side of Big Fans. So, you know, while that is a great round for the side of Big Fans, there's still a lot more they're going to have to accomplish this round. And the fact that they're bringing Jaeger Wilmai already shows that they're, you know, they're starting to adapt to the space that Elyssar is doing with their utility dumps, like their nades and stuff.
And for Elyssar, sure, they had a good lineup to counter Big Fans, but the complexity of where they were attacking from wasn't there. They kept things very straightforward. Only break-in and cafe were the attack points that Elyssar had. Nobody was lurking on that first floor to help assist either from arcade stairs or over by yellow instead. It was just 2 main attacking points for the offense, and Big Fans were already prepared to challenge those 2 locations, so it did only make sense they were able to win some of those gunfights and punish Elyssar for being a bit over-aggressive in round number 2. This time, Elyssar are looking to get a bit more complex, a bit more methodical in this round, and there it is. There's that coordination, there's that adaptability, perfectly done by Elyssar, as Bry, with the help of that Rotero drone, gets Kosa in a really bad spot and wins that opening gunfight.
I mean, that felt like something we didn't see at all last round. We talked about how strong Flores is as an operator to clear out a lot of this utility in these positions, but he wasn't used at all. They just rotated the attack as soon as JJ got on a break. But now they're expertly using the Flores to dig out these defender positions over on top Dragon, you know, behind the cache half wall, clear out some of these shields and basically isolate some of these defenders. But Cordell does a really good job of retaking top Dragon. He pushes up and he's managed to get a pick on Bry, who got the opening pick. And now, once again, you know, Elyssar have to figure out a way to kind of deal with the shield and clear out top Dragon if they want to continue with this cache over push.
They would probably need someone to go back up Dragon Stairs to break that shield, because you do have someone watching that position over by Control, and Cordell playing off the shield, catches Riot off guard and starts to run away. He tucks his tail and run, and JJ just hops through the window, expecting the fallback to be Cordell's downfall, and it will be. Big Fans, though, still keep up that man advantage as Matt Bonger does find a quick kill onto Twizzler, but a 2 versus 3, definitely not impossible here for Elyssar, as JJ once again just decides to up the ante. Still wants to try to look to see if anyone's still extending over by either offices or initiation, and the second he finds out that map is up for free, or that part of the map control is actually up for free, he'll take it. Now falls back down into yellow stairs to try to get a better angle on that player all the way back inside a break room. Bino not too far behind as well. As a bit of info, there's a Romai stuck over by Cafe. There's the 1-for-1 that JJ needs, but the trade he was not anticipating, and Bino, caught in a bad crossfire, will be dropped down by the hand of Perseus with that DMR. Big Fans now taking the lead in this first half.
I mean, Big Fans did a really good job, like I said, of taking back control of top Dragon, and just an expert plays coming out here from the side of I believe it was Bino who not Bino.
Bry for the opening kills. Are you talking about?
No, when they retook top Dragon, who was that? I forget who it was.
That was JJ who just like hopped in the window.
Oh yeah, when JJ just hopped in the window, they tried to claw it back, but I think what ended up becoming the error was the player over on Cafe side just got a little too, you know, antsy. If he just waited a little bit longer, waited for JJ and for his teammate to basically push in, take the office control, that could have been a 3v3 with the ability to pinch the defenders playing top arcade. But because he got too antsy, he kind of put his team in a back foot. and force them to funnel into crossfires, which, you know, big fans are going to win that every single time. They were really good trading there at the end. Elyssar was able to get one pick, but it was immediately traded out. And once again, it just looks like there's like this issue of getting like the space that they need, getting that opening pick, and then being able to maintain it. And if big fans can keep trying to contest these entry points, and contest these entry engagements, and keep winning them, you know, they're going to have a good defensive half going forward.
Like you had mentioned as well, for Elyssar, they take maybe a second or third round win in this first half, and they'll be looking pretty clean overall heading into their defensive half on Theme Park, a map they're pretty well versed in. Big fans reattempting Throne and Armory, now bringing out a very interesting lineup that looks to be almost bunker style. They've got Jarden on the Clash, a Tachanka, Rook, and Doc. On top of that, they have a Goyo too. Man, this just screams to me we want to try to bunker up in the bomb site, maybe lurk a little bit since you do have people extending over by barrel room, and just hoping you can waste as much time and resources as you can without really sacrificing any players' lives, I guess, in this round, since you're not looking to play a very heavy roam game on that top floor. If Elyssar can realize that, maybe they could get some very quick map control on the top floor, work some vertical. That could allow them to maybe find an opening kill here and there. But besides that, having to try to deal with that clash properly could be a bit of a challenge, especially if you don't have either those grenade players or the Zofia in the right place.
I like the idea. I'm questioning how they're going to try and execute this, because they're like, without the ability to contest vertical, it's very difficult to play inside of barrel, as we're seeing right now. Elyssar is just starting to work the vertical pressure. They're going to be able to dig and force the Rook back into position, and Clash is going to be forced to play the wall. And when the wall's already open for you, that's a lot of time you're alleviating. I do like the fact that they have a Clash at least trying to block it, and they have the four corners of Throne and Arsenal covered. But well, I stand corrected. I guess Matt Bonger's off on the roam here. He's going to be able to get a nice pick on Bry, and that's just another problem that, you know, Elyssar are going to have to deal with. They're not doing a very good job as they one by one peek into Matt Bonger, who's getting 3 picks here, and he's just a complete nuisance. Like, the round is just completely devolved at this point. They need to find this pick on Matt Bonger. They need to find some picks on the site if they're going to have any chance at clawing back this round. That
first shot on the Bry as well, which is biblical. The Ayana had the Goyo dead to rights, but somehow Matt Bonger just wills it to be the opposing side, and he's looking for that ace, a quadra kill now for Matt Bonger, as all that's left to add to the tally mark is that sledge of Twizzler, and they are currently hunting for this poor soul. Give it to him. Matt Bonger with the ace on round number 4, nets a 3rd round win in a row for big fans.
I mean, John, what did I say at the beginning of the game? We were talking about the rosters. Matt Bonger is one of those players that could just absolutely take over a game. And if he's feeling himself, he's feeling aggressive like that, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if you continue to see Matt Bonger, you know, try to put up a tear for the rest of this game, where he's going to be taking a lot of aggressive gunfights. And if he keeps hitting the shots that we know he can hit, this might actually become a far bigger challenge for Elyssar, who have now on the back foot. It's 1-3. Like, this is a solid half starting to develop for the side of big fans. They can get one more round here. I would say it's the defensive half that they're looking for. And, you know, only needing 2 rounds on attack, that's not an impossible task. Maybe big fans are going to be able to bring it back to a map 3.
And I think if we were to see big fans take this map as a victory too, we'd have maybe Jonah or Hayden screaming in our ears that this is what we'd call a bit of a collegiate special perhaps too, where you end up winning your opposing team's map pick. But it is, of course, a defensive half here on Theme Park. Things can be a bit more one-sided in comparison to a map like Chalet that tends to be a bit more half and half for either team's side, depending on how you look at it. But for big fans, the top floor sites of both Office and Bunk have been really favored towards them. They showed basically no weakness on either 2 of these site extensions, except for maybe the first minute of the round where you had, for example, when defending Bunk, Coast dying off the rip because he was heavily isolated and tag teamed by Elyssar, and then donning back to this Office defense where Elyssar did get a bit of early map control and info that almost allowed them to score an opening gunfight, but big fans were quick on that response, so it wasn't really a round chalked up to be a win there for Elyssar.
Elyssar now just looking like they're going to try and do a cafe over take. We saw them do this exact same take earlier with JJ and with Riot pushing in the break window, but it looks like big fans are setting themselves up in a position to anticipate this. Once again, this round pivoted on Cordell last time they did this attack, with him being able to pick up a couple really big picks, basically deny this break push from the side of big fans. And as a result of that, they were able to capitalize off pick after pick after pick and put Riot into that 1v4. So now I'm looking to see, how is JJ going to adapt? What type of way is he going to utilize his utility so that he can dig out Cordell and basically prevent the mistake that happened in the previous round?
If they have some people by Cafe to be that first distraction, that could maybe help assist to deal with Cordell. But last time we saw this site in play, big fans were expecting that Cafe clear as well. So it wasn't like Cordell was being pushed out from multiple directions. He was just solely focusing on break room for a good chunk of time because he had the rest of his teammates focusing on their first task of the round. Elyssar still kind of stepped back here in this position, trying to find some sort of opening, and they're not quite able to coordinate that just yet. But I think they got the right idea finally. Riot begins to step in from the lower floor of this map, and having the help of JJ to drone him in as well, that could maybe allow for a quick opening kill to be found with the help of those stuns as well, creeping his way now up the arcade stairs. He's looking to take that gunfight. The drone gives away the alibi's position. The rotate hold allowed them to fall back, but Vino was there to help with the assist. Cordell shut down, but so is Twizzler. He's been dropped down 6 feet under. Perseus will confirm that kill with the DMR, but Elyssar finally getting some vital map control before they hit the execute.
I mean, they might have the map control they need, but they've also, you know, really wasted a lot of their own time, and they still don't have any information on the location of the defenders inside of sight. All the defenders need to do here is just play a little bit disciplined and wait for this execute to launch and figure out a way to basically to attack the main push coming out here from the side of Elyssar. This is going to turn into a big slog gunfight here at the end. There's not a lot of utility left from the side of Elyssar, so this is it's just got to be a funnel. We're going to have to big fans it and push through some breaches, push through some holes, and try and play our trades as best we can. And it's going to be, you know, whoever sets themselves up for success with these crossfires and trades going to end up winning this exit.
Bit of info being gathered before that final rally call. The Gemini to be the first spearhead for JJ as he now works his way back from the pillar. There's someone top control though. Good transition by JJ, but still that player in the bomb site being a bit of a threat. The Rook finally taken care of, and now there's coverage duty here for Bry. Good for a double kill now, but here's Perseus from the backside. He could maybe kill this planter, but no, Bryber is there. Perfectly timed swing for the Iana, and although it took them a long time to set up that execute, they still get the job done and still take round number 5.
That was a very dirty win, John. That was not a clean way you wanted to win. It wasn't like the flawless, you know, couple rounds we've seen from Elyssar so far in this series. That was just doing what you had to do and getting it done. Really great effort and coverage coming out here from Bry, who was able to pick up a triple kill to basically facilitate JJ getting the plant down. And that was almost entirely an individual effort at that point, where he's in a 2v3, and with your plant going down, you're essentially in a 1v3, and you know, apparently Bry just wins those, and that was a great individual effort coming up from him.
And as well, if you maybe had a bit more information there for big fans, if they took a step back, could have maybe played for that plant now a little more effectively, having someone rotate back in a bunk, for example, while having that pressure still building up over by control. They just weren't able to do that in a timely manner because they were still looking to stop that initial execute. Elyssar thankfully still having enough bodies alive to, although lose a couple players, they still had Bry in a good enough position to cover JJ as he is sticking that diffuser on the ground for dear life. But if big fans had just a little bit more time to work with and maybe just reset in that position, they could have taken the round, and Elyssar would still be at a 1-round win position, and that would be it for the story. Bunk now in play here for big fans as they don't want to try to reattempt offices, and now Elyssar for the first time in this first half bring out the Ying, interestingly enough.
I really like the Yang pick here. It's really good at digging out those like bunker defending positions that big fans are doing. It's a good adaptation coming out here from Elyssar. One thing I want to point out, we're talking about time in the last round. How much use are they getting out of the dock? Imagine they had a smoke in that exact same scenario.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, it's once again just keeps being the big thorn that's in the side of big fans and why they're losing some of these rounds. But otherwise, they might not have to lose, is the utility that they're bringing is kind of questionable, and instead they're just electing to bring guns. I understand it's swing or be swung online meta, but at the same time, you can't just sit in specific positions and expect to be able to win all your gunfights, especially when a team like Elyssar are going to bring a Ying to kind of hold you back.
First Candela deployed. Just to be a bit of a bait so far, same thing goes out with a logic bomb, but there's still plenty of utility to set up that attack. There goes a secondary flash. Perseus now fully blind as a second window gets opened up, and there's JJ for the opening kill. Pretty quick one at that too, as Perseus has no one here to back him up inside a break room, and then now a third Candela gets thrown out here by JJ, but caught in a bad spot. There's a bit of a crossfire costing him out in a death box position, but now Bino's here to help him out a little bit as he gets rid of Cordell. Matt Bonger does retaliate onto Bino, but JJ just ups the ante. Now a second here for the Ying as you have the Ayana downed, but thankfully there's a bit of a trade coming out from Arcade Stairs. Now Kosa, left in a 1v2, has to play the retake against both a Twitch and Dokkaebi with not a lot of info to really favor the offense, but now they have that diffuser down, both guns are up, and that also gives them a bit more time to start throwing out those drones, guaranteeing where exactly this Jaeger is playing the retake from. That allows Riot to transition from the arcade balcony, collect that last kill, and things get immediately tied up heading into the second half, 3-3.
I mean, after round 4, it very much looked like big fans were in the driver's seat of this round. It's a very good job from Elyssar to salvage their attacking half, and not only salvage it, but get a 3-3 half on a very defender-sided map. I like the adaptations of the Ying to bring it out. JJ did get a little bit lucky on that last engagement that he had for the double kill, or, you know, he was getting shot through the wall and he just so happened to miss. Managed to throw the Candela through the hole. Everything worked out perfect for JJ. It all came up JJ right there. And he was able to push into sight, get another massive pick, and get the plant down with relative ease. Again, it comes back to like these dirty rounds that Elyssar are able to win, like these like little rounds that, you know, it could have gone either way, but they snuck them out. They got their half, and now they're going on the defensive half against a team that we have seen struggle to manage their time and not attack in a very funnily kind of way. I'm very much thinking Elyssar is still in the driver's seat of this map.
Big fans as well, based on their lineup, are probably going to want to clear out the entirety of this map. They've got the Lion to help with some of that information. Same thing applies to Matt Bonger on the Ayana, who is having a hell of a game so far, racking up a couple of kills throughout the whole first half, and an ace at 1.2 with that. Being a pretty star-studded player here for big fans, but no one else really there to back him up in that power play so far. It's mostly been Matt Bonger doing the heavy lifting there with his back. And like I mentioned here for big fans, having to clear out the whole map here for this throne defense could be a bit of a challenge, like you mentioned, because that time management, if they're not able to force back those roamers at a good time, and if they, you know, struggle again with just that top floor altogether while also working vertical, if there's someone lurking in the late round in that first floor, that could be a huge nightmare.
On top of that, you've got things like Valk cameras are going to be able to enable Elyssar to get aggressive when they want to.
Yeah.
Things like Capcam, which are awesome at punishing teams that have poor time management, because at the end of the round, they're just forced to sprint through doorways and windows, trying to get into sight any which way they can. And if they're not checking for Capcams because they don't have time to, that's going to be a bunch of free damage and picks. And like you mentioned, Matt Bonger, he's got over half of the picks on his team right now. What happens when Matt Bonger, you know, dies to a Capcam trap here or gets taken out? Who on the side of big fans is going to step up and really enable that entry and that aggression to take map control? I don't know. We're going to have to find out.
Well, seems like you just caster cursed it into existence. Matt Bonger just hits the deck as a Capcan trap blows out his kneecaps. Looking to get revived in a couple of seconds. Thankfully, no one is there to confirm that kill into Matt Bonger, but he's now desperately low on HP, but not as low as Twizzler. He gets taken care of by Jarden with the 5.56, so there is no longer a man advantage here for Elyssar, but it seems like they've come out on top in those first couple of engagements, because not only is Matt Bonger on 20 health, there's no more Thatcher to help aid Jarden on the Thermite, so they have to really hope Perseus can spot out those mute jammers or Kosa can bring out those secondary EMPs, and that's if JJ doesn't have anything to say about this position. He's still on this top floor looking to take a gunfight, as big fans have only pushed their way out by waiting room, but a perfectly timed swing by Perseus will eliminate that threat up above, but the threat down below is still lingering. Bino tosses out a nitro cell, connects onto one. Kosa is now gone, and there's basically nothing to help this Thermite now.
Well, I mean, they still have the nades and the smokes to clear the ADS, so they should still be able to get the mute jammer off of the wall and hopefully get the wall open.
Impacts, though, too.
Oh, is there? Oh, yeah, there are impacts from the side of Daddy Right. So this is going to actually be kind of tricky to get if they're not able to clear these ADSs or deny the impact trick from happening because they had to use their nades a specific way. It doesn't matter. Still gets it open. So they're still good. They're still set, but they only have 30 seconds left. They haven't dug out any of the defender positions. I doubt they have very much info on where all the defenders are. They're going to be forced to funnel in through only one hard breach and one door. A split is still covered from the side of Elyssar, and they're really going to have to like trust that one of these nades are able to get a pick that they need. Keep in mind, there's still probably info on all these guys, so they know they're coming into sight. And as they push in, they're just relying on Matt Bonger and Perseus to get picks, but ultimately it doesn't happen as Elyssar are able to hold their crossfires, take out the picks as they enter into the site and take the round, putting them in a round advantage for the first time since round 2.
Yeah, just having so much natural cover to deny both entryways to work for big fans. You still had that maintenance wall opened up, which was a good boon there for big fans. But again, when you're sitting in the back of Throne, when you're sitting in Split, you can just tuck away a little bit and force big fans to enter the bomb site basically still from 2 funnel points that you have multiple people setting their eyes on. I think they had a guy playing inside of Armory as well. So you had a lot of potential to set up, again, those crossfires while still having a 3-2 man advantage. And like you mentioned, Tanner, sure, the grenades were used to help, get that wall opened up, but that left only one more frag left for Matt Bonger, and it didn't connect onto anyone to actually net a kill. So there was no genuine advantage for big fans heading into the execute with such little time left, and it did seem like the management of that time was still an issue for them. Heading into another defensive round, you've got Elyssar now opting to go into bunk and daycare, which that can be cleared out a little bit quicker in comparison to Throne and Armory, but there is still solid potential for the roamers to extend outward and still look for those opening gunfights to take out a lot of valuable pieces of that utility.
It was just a really good crossfires being held from Elyssar. Their roam game last round was basically what won them that round, right? They wasted so much time and forced it to the point where Thermite was only able to get one wall. And therefore, they still had to deal with the contend with the crossfires that are inside of sight. Now going on to Bunk's defense, what we see coming out here from the side of Elyssar is they're still bringing some trap operators, but they're not as heavily reliant on, say, the Valkyrie or Capcan. They have the Ella, which is going to help contest things like arcade window jump in and basically give you information on the staircases or on break. There's not really going to be any real surprise points coming out from big fans, but they're also limited on the fact that they don't really have any other info other than a couple pieces of barbed wire and Ella mines. And if big fans can find that info and destroy it before Elyssar are able to react to it, and they might be able to get some free lurk kills or maybe some free nade kills onto the side of Elyssar, who are going to be completely taken by surprise.
Terror drone goes off. I believe it ended up breaking one of those 2 shields available to Elyssar for the action phase. So that Cafe clear looking to be all right so far for the offensive side. And they also do enter in from top Dragon, as no one is really looking to extend that deep from the eastern side of the map. Some info being gathered out by the Zofia of Perseus 2 to maybe help enable some of those attackers if they want to go underneath, work for some grenades, or just in general, just be prepared for what they're going to swing into, because for big fans, they have no grenades. Instead, guess what, Tanner? They have 6 claymores. So if anyone wants to flank, they're not going to get away with it. They are very much prepared, especially when they have all those claymores in their back pocket, just saving it for later in case.
I'm so glad you caught this. That's actually funny. What do you need the 6 claymores for? They're not even doing a break take or a break window repel, so they don't need to prevent repels. They're trying to do the funnel that we talked about last round. And once again, they're running out of time. They haven't even taken office or initiation control, and they're already down to the final minute, and they haven't got like big walls open like the yellow wall. And as a result, they're going to be once again forced to funnel into crossfires that Elyssar are just happy to hold. They're going to be pulling back. They're not going to be wasting their roamers where they don't need to. They're going to be executing into Ella mines. This is not looking like it's going to be favorable from big fans. The big question mark for me is going to be whether or not Cordell is going to be able to make any impact with this vertical play. Obviously, they've got information on where Riot is with the drone in sight, and he can come up the staircase on the execute itself. But I ultimately don't think that's going to be enough, because, yeah, once again, he could just fall back to hard floor and be completely fine and still maintain his crossfires.
20 seconds left on the board. Those smoke grenades now really building value, since there isn't much time left here for big fans to actually burn through that primary utility. Looking soon to be in that red timer. JJ springs up with the Scorpion, gets that opening frag, but Matt Bonger is there to find a trade, but Bino returns the favor as well. 6 seconds to go. Here comes the charge by Jarden. The case now left in no man's land, and there just isn't any time left for the offense. They almost all drop dead, still one attacker alive, but for big fans, it's not going to matter. They still take the round loss, and Elyssar add yet another one to their tally, one more, and they secure series point.
I mean, it's not looking good. The big red flag that we brought up on Chalet, John, it's happening. They're just running out of time. Their attacks aren't that dynamic, and they're not able to clear out or get the picks that they need. We really need to see some more explosiveness coming out here from the side of big fans. They need to take that map control, and they need to establish counter pressure. If they just keep funneling into crossfires, the same result is going to happen over and over again. And this is going to be, 2 quick rounds coming out for the side of Elyssar. Now, luckily, they're going to Drug. Right, Drug's one of those sites you don't need a lot of map control. You could even say you could rush in Drug really effectively, especially when there's no frost on the board, and Elyssar are electing to not bring the frost whatsoever. So if they are able to identify that they don't have the utility to deny the rush here, this could be a very favorable round for big fans to just kind of hit site real quick in the very minimalistic way that they like. Otherwise, if they try to do a full top clear here, or they try to clear out this throne, I see this round playing out very much the exact same way we've seen the previous 2 rounds.
Once again, not having any implementation of grenades, you've got the triple claymore set up again by big fans. Basically no vertical, besides the skeleton key as well. That seems to be a bit of a concern unless you want to use some of those explosive lifelines. I feel like you're missing out on a lot by not having someone to help assist Cordell. Again, you talk about time management, Tanner. If you have one person working vertical and that's it, that's a huge concern when you have such a big map like Theme Park to clear out. Thankfully, Kosa spraying through a barricade wins his first engagement. Bry is already dropped dead, but at least he'll be on camera duty with a couple black eye cameras to help assist him on that supporting role. Elyssar looking to maybe try to take some sort of engagement to work back that main advantage, but JJ is caught on the shift key, not playing behind the deployable shield. A major cardinal sin of that position, and Kosa, wow, having a big round for himself so far with that LA. Lines up a triple kill. This might be the round already wrapped up here for big fans. They need to find 2 more players, and that's basically just the round 9 just over and out with. Both Bino and Riot are technically off the bomb site, but I don't think the guy by Arcade spots out Bino. There goes Cordell, drop dead. Riot will now relocate over into lab. He spots out the guy heading in a bathroom, and all of a sudden, we might have Elyssar take this one back into 2 versus 3. Riot's got info. The storage window player dropped down. 2 versus 2, big fans, major man advantage off the back of Kosa is now only a 1-player advantage. Matt Fonger thankfully gets rid of Riot, and Kosa dropping down yellow gets a quad, but almost all off the back of the Thatcher do big fans take round 9.
I mean, if you're Elyssar, you gotta kind of kick yourself that round. You give Kosa 3 picks at the beginning of the round just for free. Like, just give him one. So you don't have to peek deep here. We talked about how the main weakness that Elyssar has seen in big fans is to just wait out the clock and force them to funnel in. And they almost did it with just 2 players. Now imagine they had 2 more players up after they lost that first engagement. That could have been a very different round. But that being said, you got to give Kosa a lot of credit. It was very good heads up, guns up play from him. He was able to get those 3 picks. And, if your opponent's going to make a mistake, don't stop. Take advantage of it. And Kosa did. He was able to utilize the 2x on the L85 to get 3 nice picks and put his team in a very strong position. And, you don't really need vertical control when there's not a lot of players to, try and dig out of positions on site. You know what I mean?
Elyssar may be getting a bit ahead of themselves on that round, you could probably imply, but they got a couple rounds to throw out. Not a huge concern for them. Definitely would have to agree, though, that Kosa at least being prepared to take those gunfights, it was the right idea when we've seen Elyssar get so aggressive whenever they just feel like it. For a lot of these rounds, not only in Chile, but also the current map Theme Park. However, though, for the defense, they now get to go back to Throne and Armory, which was a site that was deemed very challenging for big fans to actually enter in with a meaningful, I guess, presence. They were in a 3 versus 2, not favoring them, and they were only able to get that maintenance wall opened up just off the back of Elyssar being pretty consistent, finding, tit for tat, having those trades pretty consistent on the top floor. I believe still securing that opening gunfight as a win as well. They just had enough utility to make sure that big fans weren't really in the driver's seat, and also those Capcan traps that costed Matt Bonger one of his legs. Thankfully, there's no Capcan available this time, but still something to maybe look at later in the matchup, Tanner.
I do like the lineup too coming out here from big fans. They're bringing far more operators with utility. Bringing the Iona is going to help counter a lot of that Mozzie gameplay that we're seeing, but also bringing Twitch. Twitch has 3 drones. That's one of her perks of being Twitch. She has her 2 Twitch drones and she has a regular drone. So this is one of the issues that they were running into in this last map, is they weren't really able to identify where the defenders from Elyssar were positioned, specifically on the roam. And now by bringing the Iona and by bringing the Twitch, they're going to have a little bit more information. They don't have 6 Claymores. They're setting themselves up for success. But once again, they're really taking their sweet time to clear this roam out right now.
And at 40 left here for big fans, probably going to want to spend another 40 seconds tops to start working on that vertical and forcing away both the Alibi and Jaeger between both Cafe, Hallway, and Bunker respectively, both having fall-off options of the staircase and arcade and the hatch that was opened up during the prep phase that leads back down into barrel room. At the minute 20 mark, you hear that sledgehammer ring out across the map, starting to open up some potential vertical angles for big fans to either net a kill or at the very least just break some utility. But it's still that 5-on-5, and Elyssar, they still have the top floor.
And big fans still haven't opened a wall either, John. Like we were talking about last time they attacked here, they only had 1 breach open. They were forced to funnel into site. Yes, they have smokes this time. They can break a crossfire that way. But typically you want to have more than 1 wall open so that way you're able to also, by default, break open some of these crossfires and give counter pressure on defenders who are playing, maybe in Armory, in Arsenal, by the pillar. We're basically going to be able to hold your direct approach as you come into site. And here you go. You got a C4 coming out, completely misses. And 40 seconds left, John. Only 1 wall open. I don't know. What do you think?
Seems really risky here for big fans, relying solely on that back wall being opened up into maintenance like we saw last time this site was in play for Elyssar. They do have a lot of players up and alive, but again, they're going to just funnel into 2 entryways unless someone can maybe rotate around. There's the case player dropped down by Riot. Matt Bonger is there to at least get a kill into Twizzler, but it's still just the Dragon doorway and the back wall. Bry's going to find 1 and now 2 with the MX4 Storm. Make it 3 for the man. Cordell springs up from Split, but it's far too late, and JJ expects it, wraps around from Lab, gets the final one here, and Elyssar secures series point.
I'm just gonna depart some coaching wisdom here, guys. You want to get 2 walls when you're attacking throne. 1 wall, and what just happened is exactly how it's going to play out every single time. Forced to funnel in through the breach, forced to funnel in through the bottom dragon door, and that was the name of the round before, and that was the name of this round. You got to pick up the pace here if you're on the side of big fans. They were able to take map control all the way up to the waiting area on the top floor real quick. They could have worked the vertical pressure to get open that yellow wall, maybe bring in Ace so you have some ranged hard breach, and you can just the simple pressure of opening up that wall alone is usually enough to give the defenders something else to look at and give you the opportunities you need to launch into site. And then they just try to get too cute with it. Thermite's dying, going prone, trying to crawl into site with a smoke grenade in his hand. Doesn't do anything when the Valk peeks you and just takes your head off. So I don't know. Again, still a big issue of funneling, still a big issue of time. Something's got to give here. Either big fans can correct that this round, or that's it. This series is over, John.
Big fans at the very least looking to maybe adapt a little bit on their attacking composition. We've been pretty heavy about them just refusing to bring any grenades. Oh, for the love of God. They had an Iona and Sledge, Tanner.
Hey,
and then
they
go
have
back
6
to
claymores, John. They have 6
Why?
claymores, John.
What does that accomplish? I was going to mention, oh, hey, they've got all this info. They've got grenades. That's going to be great for making space or working kills in the late round. And, oh, my God, Persis is already dead.
They have 4 claymores, John. They have 4 claymores.
Oh, big improvement now for big fans. Definitely a good notch into their strat book, as someone just ran out from cash and got a kill. Bry is already celebrating the win as well. JJ to follow up too. Might be a bit of a Lebron effect, but I don't even think Lebron can save this game, Tanner. It just seems like big fans are not fully there for the Steam Park match, and their composition is the exact same that they had last time, which they were basically forced to stall. Yes, Tanner?
No. Matt Bonger has 16 kills. You don't GG Matt Bonger when he has 16 kills.
Oh, almost 17. Ooh.
Not like this, JJ. Not like this.
Could be it for him, man. He's really counting his lucky stars, Matt Bonger, to not just put him in his place. Oh, yeah, he felt that.
He ran away immediately. Oh, no. I mean, looking at this current scenario, the biggest thing that they have going for them is big fans have got a minute 40 left. They're going to be able to get map control, which has been completely given up by the side of Elyssar. They still have a lot of drones up, so they can get into the positions that they need to basically open up this open up the walls if they want, but the big thing is the mute chambers are holding them back. The only real form of wall denial or counter wall denial that they had, well, I guess they have Thatcher. I keep forgetting Thatcher's in the game. So they'll be able to get any wall open here. So getting the walls open, they have lots of time left. They have Matt Bong with 16 kills. Enable him, push, and maybe they're going to be able to pull it out here. I'm a big believer in the Leveron effect, John. I
had a
hate
couple.
seeing-
Had a couple of clips that referred to the Leveron effect. It is basically a dictionary type of response that people have in this game now. It's just so old at this point. Having the all chat warriors get punished by just a simple karma, it seems. Matt Bonger might be adding more to the kill count here. Getting rather close inside of initiation room, looking to potentially work a pick over by Bunk. There's Cordell across the map, getting that extra pressure point established. Now there's no one playing over by the cafe hallway as of right now. So all things considered, big fans are not in the worst position, and there it is, Matt Bonger now 17 kills to his name, but Jarden hops in from the back wall of office. This is like the worst spot possible for your case players. If he dies, no one's going to be able to pick that one back up, and there's JJ for 3. Jarden swings wide while reloading, but now he has backup by Matt Bonger, the main character of this position. JJ almost gets the ace, but is shut down. That SMG-12 recoil is a bit too unwieldy, but it doesn't matter whatsoever, Tanner. JJ, he's done it. The shackles have been taken off. He makes it out of qualifiers and gets into SCS. He's made history.
About time. About time. Congratulations. Congratulations to Elyssar and JJ. You know, they obviously worked really hard here. I really like their adaptations that they were doing throughout. You know, that second to last round, you saw smokes coming out. Boom. JJ's bringing out the warden. He gets aggressive. He's spawn peeking. He's everywhere. He's got the GGs in chat before the round's over. And honestly, this was not surprising. After the first map, you know, losing your first map and then going to a map like Theme Park where time management is such a big deal, it really was in control from Elyssar from the get-go. Really, congratulations to Elyssar for advancing, and I look forward to seeing them in SCS Season 7.
Gotta at least commend Matt Bonger for just giving it his all on that last map. He was really trying to make sure that big fans could hold on for dear life and maybe go to map 3 in this game, having 17 kills. But I think, especially towards that last round, it was just doomed to fail. You had JJ manage to fall back from that roam. You still have that man up position during the last minute 30 until Cordell swings from a lurk and finds a refrag. But again, having Jarden push in from offices when you already have Matt Bonger so close to Bunk, I don't think that was really the right call for big fans whatsoever. Maybe they assumed there'd be less pressure over by Cafe because Cordell just cleared out that area so they could maybe get into daycare from a little corner and start planting behind some natural cover. But that just, again, they still had people towards arcade stairs. They had a guy in daycare proper. They had people with these long angles from Bunk as well. It just seemed like there was, you know, not a lack of coordination, but maybe just not knowing where to coordinate for that final execute. That just seemed to be the last nail in the coffin there, really, for big fans, as Elyssar were just really on top of their game throughout this entire best of 3.
I mean, you got to play the clock. You got to have the time to make decisions, and they were just not making decisions fast enough. Yeah. Ultimately, though, Elyssar, really solid defensive half here from the, on Theme Park. I think they won 4 out of a possible 5 defensive rounds. Very solid fundamentally. The only real map time that they lost was almost to their own error, where they had 3 people peek the same player on the window. And as soon as they you know, pulled it back a little bit, they started to play a little bit more disciplined. That's when Elyssar was thriving, and you know, big fans there, they were just stalling. Like they just didn't really have anything to their attacks. So, I mean, makes sense why Elyssar is advancing, and we're going to get to see a lot more of them as they compete against both Tier 1 and Tier 2 teams going forward.
And before we end off the stream, we'll take a look at the bracket once again to see, you know, what's been brewing up in the background, to see who else has been able to qualify so far. We mentioned earlier during the broadcast that Eclectic version 3 was able to make it all the way through quals. They will now be another team heading on into SCS's regular season. Same thing for Lycus Empire as well. They got their 2-0 victory against Above the Law. We did see Lycus Empire earlier on the regular stream winning against S2. They had a fabulous game against S2. Even playing against Kino, everyone on that team did incredibly well. I think their weakest link, honestly, had to be Ozone, but towards the late round, he did a fantastic job just being that anchor and being just a rock for the rest of his teammates. There was no weak link at all once we saw Ozone popping off, as again, we saw a ton of positions like with Cryptics and Aggro playing in 2vx's, winning those outright. So they were more than deserving of qualifying for SCS.
I mean, and then we still have one game going on right now. You've got the HK Rebels versus Turbo & Co., or as I like to call it, Karn & Co. version 2. Looks like that game is going to be going a little bit longer than the rest of them. And that's going to be the 4th team for qualifier number 1. Of course, we do have qualifier 2 just around the corner, right? I believe it's is it 1 week or 2 weeks from now, John?
Next week.
Next Wednesday. So there you go. So we're going to be starting right back up here with open qualifiers. And we're going to go into close calls. So if you missed out your chance to qualify today, there's still the next time. You can still come around for a qualifier number 2. And we're going to have, I think it's 16 teams. It's going to be 16 spots. This is going to be a big tournament, John.
Yeah, 8 invited teams, 4 teams qualifying for the first and second qualifier. I mean, it's just spreading the love really throughout not only just, all of T3, but heading into T1 and 2, like we had mentioned with those invited slots. I think the only team that's inside of T3 that kind of, was the outlier of that rule was Aerial Academy, but they earned their win by taking a 2-0 victory against Favelas before qualifier 1 even started. So if they have the caliber of beating, almost every single T3 team, being that top dog, and then also beating a couple of Challenger League teams in the process as well, then they definitely deserve an invited spot and don't have to plug it out through the quals. Definitely hoping a team like Favelas, though, can continue to play out in qualifier number 2 and just see what they have and make it into close qualifiers once again, because, Hong Kong Rebels, sure, they 2-0 defeated Favelas, but they still made it all the way through close quals. They are definitely deserving of fighting out once again.
I mean, that's the type of team that if they just show a little bit more grit. I know they were playing with Spirits. That's not really their typical player, with Bio just taking a step back only recently. Give them another week or so to kind of figure out their coordination, how they want to play. Favelas could look, 10 times better in just 1 week's time with a little bit more practice and a little bit more scrims under their belt.
Yeah, exactly. And as well, still having, all that time to practice up here, hopefully more T3 teams can begin to sign up there for the second qualifier and see if they're able to, like we mentioned, pug it out and potentially try to get that last spot. You can go and sign up here, follow at SCS_esports on their Twitter to see when we keep everything updated and see when you can register. And OP League as well. Incredibly friendly. We've made a bunch of, sign up guides to see how you can actually, go on the website and get your full 5 roster there and available. I've done it. So if a dumb caster like me can actually register for a team, I think, the T3 community can do so too.
All right. All right. That's all I got to say. So sign up. Get into the next qualifier, and then, maybe you can be on the big screen. And if not, if you make it all the way through, you're going to be playing against some tier 1 talent right in time for the for SI quals, or just around the corner. Give you a good chance to make a name for yourself. But I do believe we still have a game going on, John, on the B stream.
Yeah, I was going to go check that right now. We do still have Turbo & Co. versus the Hong Kong Rebels playing out. So we'll go and transition over to that screen to get everyone just on the same page, see how that game's going to conclude. It's been a fun night here for myself and you as well, Tanner. Glad we could get an official chance to go cast up here at SCS. But with all that being said, we're going to conclude our little shtick here on the broadcast, head over to the secondary stream and see what they've got going for their matchup. Have a great night, guys.